I think back to an America, you know, look, we've grown. This country has grown beautifully. Our racial problems, then it falls this way, it falls that way. I really think this guy could unify. I think he could I think he could make Americans strong. I think he'd put people in place that could help that. And I think he's woken up a group of people, Neil, that have gone ignored. There's a group of people in America that feel like they've been ignored. I know that for a fact. They feel like this country has let them down, and the left has hijacked, and some of the right has hijacked our nation. So this is what Donald Trump answers to. It's not anger, it's love of country. And they've all of the media is getting it wrong. And that's a subversive act to me. It really gets me upset. I've seen this country 5 decades of what it's done. I'm not a stupid person. I went to college. I study this stuff. There's something rotten in the state of Denmark, okay? To leave it with that. And it's very, very affecting to me and to the rest of the nation.
I can't top that. I'll just quietly go to a break. Thank you, my friend. Robert Davi, you think about it after this.
My dear fellow Americans, I've been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks during this election cycle, which I believe is the battle for the soul of America. If you know me, you've read my articles on Breitbart, perhaps have seen me on Fox News. Currently, or the last several days, I saw some videos done by celebrity compadres. I don't know them. I've never met them. But I want to respond to some of them, or at least one by one, and some of the political figures that have addressed the nation, actually distorted some of what Donald Trump is about. It's crucial that we tell the truth at this particular time. The progressive left has been destroying America. As you know, the inner cities have been bankrupt. They've been run by the Democrats. We know this. The same policies that have been told to us by this government have failed for the last 8 years. The world is in turmoil. I travel the world. I travel the world doing concerts. Latvia, Sweden, Budapest, Italy, Germany, Australia, China. Recently I was in Turkey a week and a half ago. And I've got to tell you, no matter where I've traveled in this world, there are many, many people that are frightened for what has happened to America. How America has lost its way. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that excuse that President Obama gave, that speech he gave in terms of the lack of American exceptionalism, has disturbed people around the world. We have never seen in my lifetime the world this close to some kind of calamity. I feel it coming. I feel it inherent. And yet, the global elite that are in Hollywood refuse to admit it. The global elite in Hollywood are just that. They're elites. They're not like you or myself. I consider myself, I'm some kind of celebrity. I'm a soldier of cinema. I'm somewhat known. But I can get hired anywhere in the world. I can hop a plane and work in China or Turkey or England, anywhere. I'm part of that global movement that you can work anywhere. But this is in reference to Bryan Cranston right now. He came out and he said that Donald Trump had no ideas. Bryan, he has many ideas. You may not agree with his ideas, but he has a lot of ideas. You see, Bryan, you and most of Hollywood can hop on a plane like myself, like I just said, and work anywhere in the world. But what about the nuts and bolts of our industry? American entertainment has been, besides wheat, one of our greatest exports. But what happens as China is buying our studios? They're building an $8 billion studio right now in China. The wealthiest man of China has invested in most of the Hollywood studios. So I understand the game. I understand the globalist game and wanting to be paid by your master. And that's who you kneel to, you see. Mammon. The horns of Mammon. It's about economy, isn't it? It's about having a living. But what about the key grips? What about the makeup artists? What about the electricians? What about the set designers and the construction workers and the transportation guys and the dry cleaners and the restaurants? What about all those people that can't get up and go to China or go to England or go to Australia to do a film because they're not part of that global elite society? You're forgetting them, Bryan. The people that buy your tickets, the people that go and see all our entertainment, that watch you on television or me on television, neglecting what they are thinking. Secondly, to ignore the corruption that we have found recently because of WikiLeaks, to ignore that corruption that we found in foundations, we found in our government, we found in the way people are behaving, is kind of distracting to me. That people of the intelligent society isn't seeing what's happening to our country. Next, I want to talk to Pharrell Williams, I understand. I have 3 daughters. I understand the respect for women that have carried us. I understand how we revere women and how women, we want them to break the glass ceiling. But a glass ceiling shouldn't be broken that's covered with corruption and a pile of dung falling down on our nation. That glass ceiling shouldn't be broken by someone like Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry. Now, why don't you mention to your people that you talk to at Variety, why don't you mention Benghazi? Now, there are tapes that say the lies about Benghazi. We know we have been lied to. Our nation has been lied to about Benghazi.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with.
You've said in your speech, Pharrell Williams, who I greatly respect, you said in your speech that, aren't you all dishonest? We're all dishonest. We all lie. That might be. But corruption is different. Subversiveness is different. The way this nation has fallen is different. The way the world now is in danger is different. Benghazi, we were lied to about Benghazi. There's accountability for that. It wasn't because of a videotape about Muhammad. We were made to believe that because of the Obama administration. We've made to believe a lot of things. We know now also that he was in talks the minute he became president with the Ayatollah of Iran, saying that he wanted to change U.S. policy, a known state sponsor of terrorism. There are many things, Pharrell, that are going on that are not just being dishonest, but they're corruption, that they're, I believe, subversive to the interests of the United States. So when you say we've all been dishonest, it's quite different. You must attend to the corruption that's facing our nation right now. Because if you're ignoring the WikiLeaks, if you're ignoring what's happening in the foundation, and other innuendo that I don't even want to go into, and the known fact of what happened in Benghazi, and that they want also, let's put it this way, you say women, vote for, because you're a woman, vote for Hillary. That is so bereft of any kind of moral integrity. What's best for the nation, irrespective of the innuendo that we have may heard. Donald Trump was a private citizen. He was not a servant of the people. He was a private citizen. There's a difference. Enough on that because you can all look that up. Next, I want to address Bill Maher, however the hell you say his name. Now, he recently said that he, in the past, wouldn't vote for Republican candidates, but now he says he would have because they're much better than Donald Trump. Well, Bill Maher, what about, again, I bring you up, the Benghazi moment with Candy Crowley? What about the lies in your party, Bill? I know you're an atheist, Bill, but there are a lot of people that believe in God, you see. The progressive left doesn't necessarily have a great faith-based thing. We even know from the progressive left, from Hillary Clinton, and also George Soros, that Catholics are useful idiots. They consider Catholic useful idiots. In the 1980s, Tim Kaine went to South America. He went to Nicaragua and the British Honduras. At the same time, John Kerry was there to study liberation theology. Now, for those of you that don't know what liberation theology is, it was created by the KGB to infiltrate the Catholic Church. Pope John Paul did not sanction liberation theology. It showed you Marxist, Leninist theories to infiltrate the Catholic Church, to change the Catholic Church. This is what Hillary Clinton has said in her WikiLeaks. We've heard that they want to have a Catholic Spring in America. Bill? So let me tell you something. I'd rather have Donald Trump as President of the United States than anyone else you can imagine, even the other candidates you said you would have supported. And there's something wrong in your thinking, Bill. I'd like to sit down with you. Let's have a little HBO special, you and I, or wherever the hell channel you're on. How about a 1-hour knockout punch, you and I, one-on-one, mano a mano, Bill, instead of having those guys that you have on that just yes you to death and you get a few laughs. Let's you and I go at this conversation a little bit about America and about faith and how necessary faith is for man and children and women. We have a society that's become permissive. If the greatest accomplishment of women in the 20th century has become abortion, we have something to worry about. They call it pro-choice. But in 500 years, how is the world going to look on this particular moment of our history? That's what you have to pay attention to. Lastly, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, you went through a list of litany things about saying you grew up as a kid and your mom and dad told you don't do this and don't do that and you would have got slapped for that and you would have hit. Same with me, but the biggest thing that my father never could understand or never respect is a liar, Joe. A liar. Now, we all exaggerate. That happens. I understand that. That happens sometimes. Everyone exaggerates. Everyone now does this kind of exaggeration. But the political expediency that I've seen President Obama lie about Donald Trump. Look at Obamacare, Joe. Did you lie about Obamacare, Joe? I remember, Joe. I remember you guys saying you can keep your doctor, keep your plan. You lied about it, Joe. You guys lied about the inner cities for years. The black community is suffering, Joe. Chicago's suffering. What happened, Uncle Joe? Where's your truth? Where's your facing the truth? Is it just because of political parties? I think the time for political party is over. The thing about Donald Trump, it's America first, the American people first. That's what we have to worry about right now in our world. America is, I've seen it decay, like a tooth, an extracted tooth, just decaying and rotting. Finally, we've lost our manufacturing jobs. I remember in the 1970s, I read an article in the New York Times when it talked about steel workers. 25,000 steel workers losing their jobs. I remember that like yesterday. And then my own father lost his job. We've seen these jobs go overseas and other places, like what Ross Perot said, that great sucking sound of NAFTA that President Clinton was responsible for. I don't just blame him. It's a global movement. There is a global cabal. We all know this now, okay? Immigration around the world. Like I said before, I've traveled. I went to Estonia recently as well. Latvia, Sweden, Budapest, France, Germany. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're worried about immigrants. They're worried about the migration because there's no more assimilation. You see, immigration is fine. The left gives you this big story about we're a nation of immigrants. That's a pile of crap. E pluribus unum has been lost. Through many one. We have stopped that because of these pockets of multiculturalism where they're not learning English. They're not assimilating into society. But the left does it because it's a subversive party. It's a party of subversion. It's a party that's been hijacked by Bill Ayers. Hillary Clinton did her thesis on a guy named Saul Alinsky, who dedicated his book, Rules for Radical, to Satan. Right after the last Democratic primary debate, which happened right before Christmas, instead of saying, Merry Christmas, God bless America, Hillary Clinton said, may the force be with you. She didn't say, Merry Christmas and may the force be with you. Now, I understand it was a cultural reference to Star Wars opening up, but I believe it was a bigger signal. And right now in the WikiLeaks, we're finding something. We're finding something out. George Soros is an atheist. That's her biggest donor. The Communist Party of America. Have you heard President Obama talk about that one? Has he talked about how the Communist Party of America has endorsed Hillary Clinton? Has it endorsed him? Has he ever mentioned that to you? Ladies and gentlemen, there is something rotten in the state of Denmark. I beg you voters, keep your eyes open. When you go in that voting booth, you pray. If you believe in God or a higher power, you pray. Because when you pull that lever, it's for the soul of America. That's what's happening right now. It's for the soul of our nation. And we're being bamboozled by the media. We're bamboozled by the Hollywood elite. We've been bamboozled by the corrupt billionaires around the world. This is our moment. I did a film called Goonies. If there was ever a film that represented the millennials, it's the film Goonies, when he said, this is our time now. This is our time. If you remember that film, as funny as it might be, to some people that's an iconic picture for the millennials. Don't get bamboozled, because all the power elite is going for Hillary Clinton to keep the status quo. Do you realize that in China, they've made 40,000 robots to do jobs? I said on my radio show several weeks ago that 40,000 robots, and they were going to have now 60,000 robots, so people are unemployed. And I said that eventually, robots are more perfect than mankind to the left. And the reason why is there's no religion, there's no spiritual essence to the robots. I said robots eventually would take over all the jobs. All these jobs we're supposed to create here in America, the new kind of jobs that they talk about. No, let's bring back our manufacturing. Let's bring back manufacturing cars, made in the USA. It's time for that. And recently, even Elon Musk said that robots will take over jobs for men, and men and women will be supported by the government, a basic sustenance by the government, because eventually robots will do everything. Beware. the globalist elite. There's something beyond what we even know. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. It's time that we hold these politicians accountable. Vote them out of office. We have to change the whole system right here. We have to put a whole new group of people that are going to hold this government accountable to the people of the United States of America, not to their own special interests. And if you say for 1 second that that's not true, that you politicians don't line your pockets full of money, then that's another joke on the American people. God bless America. Vote Trump-Pence 2016.